Hello and welcome to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin. Thank you so much for joining us again. The art of oppression is today's topic, not depression. Most of you out there are probably depressed, but we're talking about oppression. On a serious note, the Hamas war is in its third month. The wave of anti-Semitism in this country and around the world continues. It's wrong, it's unacceptable, but it's there and needs to be dealt with. But what I'm struck by most is the moments of cognitive dissonance that you are seeing in the liberal Jewish community in this country, who can't really wrap their head around why there is all this anti-Semitism coming out of social justice movements, Black Lives Matter, the Palestinian support that's in this country, those things. And these are, you have to remember that the liberal Jewish community, let's call it the Reformed community, has really been at the forefront of this social justice movement. What they don't understand is that this is really all about oppression versus an oppressor or the oppressed. And in this case, Israel and Jews in particular are considered to be the oppressors. And this is really seen through the worldview of colonialism brought on by Barack Obama, right? So everything you see is about who is oppressed and who's doing the oppressing. And in this case, right, men are oppressing women, white people are oppressing Black people, rich people are oppressing poor people, right? Jews are oppressing Palestinians, right? That's what this is about. That is the connected dots, or that's what ties all of this together. So when I find, and again, it would be comical if it wasn't so deadly serious. Again, cognitive dissonance is the only word I can use. They just can't wrap their heads around, but hey, we were supporting social justice, and hey, we were supporting all of these things. How come everything's turned against us? And what they didn't realize is that they were supporting the very movements that were always anti-Semitic, that were always about oppressed versus oppressor. And if you go back, really, you have to understand where all this oppressed versus oppressor comes from, right? Karl Marx. And I know as soon as you bring up communism, people start rolling their eyes and going, oh no, here he goes again. But you've got to know where something comes from, right? Karl Marx talked about the oppression of the working class, or the oppression of the proletariat, right? By who? By management. That is the root of all of this. Now it's not just that the workers are being oppressed by management. It's like, again, Blacks are being oppressed by whites, poor are being oppressed by rich people, women are being oppressed by men. And it's even into the syntax, into the language and all this. The nation state is oppressing anyone who's not of the nation. That's why they needed to get rid of the nation state. It's the whole concept of colonialism, right? The US was a colonial power. They were oppressing other nations. England was a colonial power. They were oppressing other nations. France was a colonial power. They were oppressing other nations. So the common theme to all of this is oppression, right? The art of oppression and how you define it, right? And now they're defining all sorts of other terms, which, by the way, as I go to my dictionary, they're even redefining what the word oppression is. So if you go to Merriam-Webster, notice I didn't use Funk and Wagnall as I used to. If you go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it now defines oppression as sadness, which means they can't even agree on what the word oppression really means. But we both, and we all know better as to what it means. That's why you're seeing the rise of Orban in Hungary. That's why you're seeing the rise of Milei in Argentina. That's why you're seeing the rise of Meloni in Italy. That's Brexit. That's Bolsonaro. That's Trump, right? Because people are fighting back against this whole nonsense of that everyone is oppressed and that everything has to be seen through those lenses. So I think the tide is starting to turn. God, I hope so. Just remember, we're all oppressed, so much so that I'm depressed. How about you?